My name is Alex, and what I'm about to tell you happened when I was a sophomore in high school, about 7 years ago. I've replayed it in my head more times than I can count, and no matter how much time passes, it never feels less disturbing. It's one of those experiences that permanently changes how you see the world, especially quiet places, snowstorms, and silence. I went to a private school in a nearby city, which meant I commuted every single day using public transportation. Every weekday morning, I'd wake up early, throw on my uniform, grab my bag, and walk to the train station. In the afternoon, I'd do the same thing in reverse. It became such a routine part of my life that I rarely thought about it. The train rides were just background noise to everything else going on. Most of my friends lived along the same train line, so the commute actually became kind of social. We'd sit together, talk about school, complain about homework, joke around, or just zone out listening to music. It didn't feel lonely. If anything, it felt normal, comfortable. I was really into running back then. Cross country in the fall, track in the spring. Training was a huge part of my life, and during track season, practices ran late. By the time we were done stretching, showering, and packing up, it was usually well past 5:30. That meant catching the evening commuter train, which was always crowded with adults heading home from work. Those trains felt completely different from the earlier ones. Everyone looked exhausted. Nobody talked. The air felt heavier somehow. Still, I wasn't alone. My two closest friends, Charles and James, were also runners, and they lived along the same line. We stuck together, talking quietly or just sitting there, decompressing after practice. That night started like any other. Practice ran late. We were tired, and we boarded the train without thinking much of it. But the moment the train pulled away from the station, I noticed snow starting to fall outside the windows. At first, it didn't seem like a big deal, just light flakes drifting down. But within minutes, it intensified. The flakes grew thicker. The wind picked up. Snow started hitting the windows sideways, clinging to the glass and blurring the view outside. Darkness settled in fast, even though it wasn't that late. Then the announcement came over the intercom. The conductor explained that due to worsening weather conditions, this would be the last train running on that line for the night. Any trains scheduled after us were canceled. The storm was expected to get much worse. That's when the mood changed. People started shifting in their seats. Some pulled out their phones. Others stared out the windows, clearly worried. I felt a tightness in my chest that I couldn't quite exclaim yet. Eventually, we reached Charles and James's stop. Their neighborhood was dense, busy, and well lit. Houses close together. Short walk home. They got up, dapped me goodbye, and told me to text them when I got home, safe. I watched the doors close behind them. Suddenly, I was alone. The rest of the ride felt longer than usual. One stop after another passed, until finally the train slowed and came to a stop at my station. The doors opened, and cold air rushed inside. I was the only passenger left. I stepped off onto the platform, and the emptiness hit me immediately. Snow covered everything. The ground, the rails, the stairs, the parking lot. The station lights reflected off the snow, making the whole place glow in an eerie, unnatural way. Normally, there were cars everywhere, people rushing to and from their vehicles. That night, there was nothing. No cars, no people, no movement, just wind, snow, and silence. I stood there for a few seconds, just taking it in. There was something unsettling about how quiet it was. Eventually, I pulled my jacket tighter. adjusted my backpack, and started walking. The first obstacle was the highway. I expected it to be dangerous, but when I reached it, I realized something strange. There wasn't a single car in sight. Headlights, no taillights, no snowplows, nothing. I stopped in the middle of the road and looked both ways. It felt unreal, like the world had shut down completely. I crossed without any trouble and continued toward the wooded stretch between the highway and my neighborhood. This part of the walk always made me uneasy, even during the day. At night, it was worse. Normally, I avoided it, sticking to the longer road that curved around the woods. But that night, the wind was brutal, and the road would have added a lot of distance. So I took the word shortcut, straight through the woods. The trees swallowed me almost immediately. Snow clung to the branches, weighing them down. The wind howled through the gaps, making everything creak and groan. My boots crunched loudly with every step, and the sound felt amplified in the silence. I kept my head down, watching my footing, focused on not slipping. I don't know how long I'd been walking like that when something made me look up. The moment I did, my body froze. About 30 yards ahead of me, standing directly in my path, was a man. He was facing me. At first, my brain refused to process what I was seeing. It felt like a glitch, like my eyes were lying to me. He wasn't dressed for the weather at all. He was wearing shorts and a short-sleeved shirt in a blizzard. Snow clung to his bare skin. His legs were red and raw from the cold, but he wasn't shivering. He wasn't moving. He was smiling. A wide, unnatural smile that didn't reach his eyes. I stopped walking. My mind raced, searching desperately for a logical explanation. Maybe he was drunk. Maybe he was high. Maybe I was hallucinating from exhaustion. But the longer I stared at him, the more wrong everything felt. He wasn't reacting to the cold. He wasn't blinking. He wasn't breathing heavily. He was just standing there, smiling at me. The silence stretched on, thick and suffocating. I could hear my own heartbeat in my ears. Snow continued to fall between us, settling on his shoulders, his head, his bare arms. Then, without warning, his smile disappeared, and he screamed. It wasn't a normal scream. It was loud, raw, animalistic. It ripped through the woods and echoed around us, and then he charged. I didn't think. I didn't hesitate. I ran. I turned and sprinted back the way I came, screaming for help even though I knew there was no one out there. The snow slowed every step, grabbing at my legs, making it feel like I was running through wet cement behind me. I could hear him, closing the distance. His footsteps were too fast, too steady. My lungs burned. My chest felt like it was on fire. Panic flooded my entire body. My thoughts dissolved into pure survival instinct. I knew, with absolute certainty, that if he caught me, something terrible would happen. Something final. I pushed myself harder than I ever had before. My legs screamed in protest, but I kept going. Finally, I burst out of the woods and onto the road leading toward my neighborhood. I didn't stop running. Not until I reached A-S-T-R-E-E-T-L-I-G-H-T. Only then did I dare turn around. He was gone. There was no sign of him anywhere. No movement. No shape in the trees. Nothing. For a moment, I felt a wave of relief wash over me. Then I looked down. My footprints stretched behind me in the snow. Only mine. No second set. No chase marks. Nothing. If he had wanted to follow me home, he could have done it effortlessly. That thought stayed with me, the rest of the walk, gnawing at the back of my mind. When I finally reached my house, my parents were relieved to see me. That relief vanished the moment I told them what happened. My dad immediately wanted to go outside and look for the man. My mom refused. The storm was too dangerous. They argued quietly but intensely. Eventually, my mom convinced him to stay inside. They went to bed a few hours later. I told him I was fine. I wasn't. I couldn't sleep. Every sound felt wrong. The house felt too quiet. His scream replayed over and over in my head. Nothing about him made sense. He shouldn't have survived that cold. Then I heard something. Hit my window. A branch scraping against the glass. My heart nearly stopped. I got out of bed, walked over, and pulled back the curtain. He was there, standing inches from my window. His skin was purple from the cold. His face was twisted into that same horrible grin. I collapsed to the floor screaming. My dad burst into the room just in time to see him take off into the snow. The police came later, but they said they couldn't search the woods in those conditions. They left out, nothing ever came of it. Even now, heavy snowfall makes my stomach tighten. Silence doesn't feel peaceful anymore. It feels watchful. Some things don't have explanations. This is one of them.